Thanks for joining me. Well, Iraq is in turmoil. Widespread suspicion of political chicanery, plus record levels of unemployment, food shortages, a lack of water, and the direct involvement of a foreign power, these would add up to a toxic brew for any government. They are some of the problems facing the Iraqi regime, and as a result, the past few months of continuous public unrest and protest can scarcely have come as much of a surprise. Current problems started immediately after Iraq's parliamentary elections on May the 12th, 2018. There were immediate accusations of vote rigging, and the results were so widely contested that on June the 6th, the newly elected 329-seat parliament ordered a manual recount of the results. On June the 10th, a storage site holding about half of the ballot papers caught fire or was deliberately torched. Allegations, denunciations, and conspiracy theories filled the media. The Speaker of the outgoing Parliament, Salim al-Jabouri, claimed that the incident was, quote, planned and deliberately intended to conceal cases of fraud and falsification of votes and to deceive the Iraqi people, unquote. The manual recount went ahead on July the 3rd, and a month later, the results were still awaited. The parliamentary elections had thrown into prominence the issue of Iranian influence in the internal affairs of Iraq. The winning group, known as the Sairun Alliance, was headed by Muqtada al-Sadr, often described as, quote, the firebrand Shiite cleric, unquote. He once led the Mahdi Army, an Iranian-supported force used to fight the United States during the Iraq War in the 2000s. After the elections, al-Sadr entered into a partnership with a group led by Hadi al-Amiri. His group is called the Fatah Alliance, and that's an organization completely under Iran's thumb. Now, the next trigger event took place on July the 14th, when electricity supplies in southern Iraq were suddenly cut off. Iran supplies much of the region's electricity, and when it was discovered that it was Iran that had cut the electricity, citing an unpaid bill of around $1 billion, popular discontent boiled over into street protests. Into the breach stepped the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah al-Sabah. He provided 17 mobile electric generators with a total capacity of 30,000 kilowatts. He supplied that to the southern port city of Basra, together with fuel to operate all the power stations in the country. But nothing could quell the increasingly violent protesters, denouncing corruption and demanding water, electricity, and jobs, not even when the authorities imposed a curfew and shut down the internet and social media. Water, said one protester, caught on video at a demonstration in Basra. I'm demanding water. It's a shame that I'm demanding water in 2018 and have oil that feeds the world. Actually, in the summer months, under regular temperatures of 48 degrees Celsius or more, Basra's water supply, fed by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, always dwindles, a situation about which successive Iraqi governments have simply shrugged their shoulders. Iraq's endemic water problem has been increased because storage facilities have been constructed by Turkey and Iran to draw off their waters. In recent decades, the levels of the two rivers in Iraq have dropped by at least 40%. On the 15th of July, al-Abadi, having sacked his electricity minister, announced the release of 3.5 trillion Iraqi dinars. That's around $2.5 billion. It was going to be supplied to Basra for water, electricity, and health services. But by that time, feelings were running too high to be placated, and powerful and influential religious figures like Iraq's top Shiite cleric, Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, were expressing solidarity with the protesters and declaring al-Abadi the source of Iraq's many troubles. Now, this draining of political support, piled on the chaotic internal situation, could cost Abadi another term as Prime Minister, despite his widely acclaimed successes last year in leading the Iraqi government to victory over Islamic State and resisting a Kurdish bid for independence. If Abadi is forced from power following the election recount, Iran's influence inside Iraq would be greatly enhanced and America's much reduced. Not a prospect to be welcomed. Well, thank you very much for listening to me, and do please join me again next time. Goodbye.